And you know what I think is really fun? Whenever we say your name, guess what happens?
Miss Adrea, we love you so.
Aw. I should get that recorded.
You're dear to our heart forever and ever.
Past the fire, past the sounds. Moonshine through the clouds. Saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
Welcome to another episode of
What do we call this? It's called Living Well Together.
Big Life in a Small Town.
Yes, I know. She's always like, you don't even remember the name. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I
No,
just
he remembers. He just likes to tease me.
It's like grinding your gears.
It's the same.
What's it called?
It's the same. It's the same as it's always been. So we have a wonderful guest with us today. So we know her and knew her a long, long time ago as Adrea Crozier.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure I know her
Then
real
your last
name
name.
now.
Yes, but this is Adrea Sanchez.
Thank you.
Yes, and she has been friends of ours for, we should have calculated that before we started
How old's
recording.
Gracie? Because she
How's
was
Gracie?
I was going to
5.
say,
Yeah.
it's probably 30
5.
years. We've been in the house. Sorry.
More than 25 years.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Adrea.
That's fun.
It's so fun. And you know what I think is really fun? Whenever we say your name, guess what happens?
Miss Adrea,
They sing the song.
we love you so.
Aw.
I should get that recorded.
You're dear to our heart forever and ever in song and
Yep.
visions
Yeah.
and all those things. But you started out babysitting the girls.
Yeah.
Also, we couldn't remember exactly how
Yeah,
we
how?
met you. Do you
So-
remember the story?
It started because my dad was looking for a chiropractor, found out about Dr. McCuskey.
Okay.
He came and then was like, wow, this is amazing. You guys should try this. Then my mom and I came. And
Okay.
I think that's right when the moment that somehow magic happened.
Yes.
And
It was magic.
Yeah.
Well, it's like basically you're on an interview, but you didn't know you're being interviewed.
Yes.
Like, because
You
you,
were
don't just
interviewing her.
leave your children with anybody. But I knew your people, I knew your background, I knew how you roll, and it was like, yeah, we can trust this person with our kid for a couple hours. Let's see how it goes.
family.
And I feel like you were part of our lives locally for 10 years more?
Yes,
15
about
maybe?
10.
10? And then tell us a little bit about that time, like growing up in a small town.
So my father was military, so we'd already moved around. But then once they settled here, it was like, well, this is different. The small town is a whole different vibe. You know, people know people. You say hi out on the roads, or hi, your so-and-so's dad or daughter, or so that was a different feel. But I liked it, and I liked having friends and family that you could watch grow and just be part of their lives. But yes, after college, that changed.
And it was Enon that you grew up, right? Is that where you went? You went to Greenon High School?
Yes.
And then you went to Wright State?
Wright State.
Uh-huh.
What was the name of the ice cream place in Enon that you would take the kids?
Cool Spot. That's
It
what
was called
right.
Cool Spot, and it was right next door to a bicycle shop.
Yes. Well,
Have
it
you
was all
been-
part of it. It was
Yeah,
part
it was
of
all
the
one,
same-
one
Yeah.
thing. Have you been there lately?
No, is it even still there?
It's not still there.
Oh, okay.
It's a really cool English gastro
That's
pub
right. I
restaurant.
heard it's something fancy now.
Because we had him. He was on our podcast as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so
We were
we
there
kind of
eating.
talked about
And it's like, hey, you got to be on our podcast. He's like, cheerio, mate.
Where are the snow cones?
Yeah, yeah.
No more snow cones.
But yeah,
No,
in
but
your
he's got
tiny
other really
town
good stuff.
is a
Yeah.
different thing now, but he's been with us before as well.
Yeah, that was fun. But that was something that the girls loved talking about too, when you guys would go to Cool Spot and have little ice cream treats.
And I liked finding out where were the cool spots in Fairborn because they knew all the spots in Fairborn.
Yeah. No, you guys had lots of adventures. I still have all the rocks that you painted.
Aw.
I love them. They're
Craft
treasures for me.
projects. She's
Yes.
always crafting. I remember the day that the, what do you call that? The census agent
Yes, I think
came
about that often.
to our
Yes.
house.
Yes, it was scary.
It was scary.
It was.
Yeah.
I was like, they're not home right now. You can come back later.
And
he
she
would
wanted to
not.
just rip it with
Yes,
you.
I was like, girls,
and-
go inside.
Yeah. The census people. You know what they need to know? The census people. They need to know how many people live in your house. So they send you that thing every year, and I filled it out. It's a 15-page questionnaire. But do you know what they need to know? How many people live in this house?
Yeah.
It's a census. We're counting you. And they wanted all this additional information that
From
I didn't
Adrea?
supply. Well, they
Got it.
I didn't supply it.
Yeah.
They would come and knock on the door, and I'm like, yeah, there's 5. See ya.
Yeah.
But they caught you here when we were gone.
We were just outside playing in the grass. And
Playing
I
in
was
the
like,
yard.
you need to get off of their property.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you can come back later. And he would not get off. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I don't know who you are, but
Yeah.
Right.
But I can fight you.
one of us is going down. It's going to be you or me. If you don't leave
It would have
now.
been him.
Yes.
Get your ninja swords.
Well, it would have been like Tom Thumb or
them just kind of like.
Gulliver's Travels, yeah, where the giant goes down and the kids pin him to the ground. Yeah,
Strap
but yeah, there was some. And overnight, did you stay overnight with him when we were overnight out? That's what I thought. So yeah,
Yeah.
we trusted her with our most precious possessions.
Yes, but it's been such an exciting time. And Caitlin will
Oh my
take us
gosh.
from Wright State. Like, when did you transition to know that this was what God wanted you to do?
Gosh, honestly, I want to say all growing up, I think I knew like something. I know you don't know the full picture, but you always have little clues throughout the walk. And I believe God prepares you for your destiny. So there were definitely things along the way. But it was when I graduated from high school that I went on a mission trip for the first time. And after, for me, it was a huge, I knew it was something I was supposed to do, but still it was a huge stretch for me.
Yeah.
Like to see the things I saw, and then.
Was that to Guatemala?
No, this was to Panama.
Got it.
And just to experience that, when I got back, I said, okay, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that experience. Let's never do that again.
Right.
That's what you were saying to God at that moment.
Yes, that was
Okay.
such a stretch for me.
Yeah.
It was too extreme, and I thought I would be, of more use here in the United States than I would be there. Like all the things I saw, I couldn't hardly help anybody. Like, what would be the point? But I also know now, we know now that God prepares you for those things. So that was just the first taste. Little did I know.
Yeah.
And so then it just led, I decided to go to school, and then, it would always get kind of like, I don't know the word, paused, put on pause. And then I'd go on another mission trip, or then it would get on pause. Then I'd help out with a mission trip here or there. And then it was on one of those experiences that I just realized, what am I doing? Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I finished my career because I thought, well, as a teacher, maybe then I would have something to offer kind of more concrete.
Sure.
But still, when I was graduating, I thought, I would like to work in Springfield at the time. I really wanted to work. I was doing my student teaching in Springfield City Schools, and I loved it.
Oh, wow.
And I thought I could really be of use here. I could really do something.
Sure. And that's like a mission.
Yes. And I thought maybe I should just stay here. This would be better. But
That's what you
I thought. And then somebody asked me if I would help out with a mission trip. Well, no, it was the last year at Wright State. Our professor said, doing a project, he said, this is going to take you the whole term. I can't even remember what the quarters or what they were. And so pick something that you're really interested in, because otherwise you'll get bored and, it will turn out horribly. So I said a quick prayer and I said, what should I do? And the word orphanage popped into my mind. I was like, wow, that's a good one.
Thank you, God.
Yes. I was like, I'm going to investigate orphanages. And so I started my project on orphanages, finished it, and I was never bored, not once. It just was the snowball
gosh,
that just
Adrea.
finished the project, and I want more, you know? And so I had got in touch with an orphanage in Guatemala. And I get all excited to think remembering it. And it was like, I made friends with the person, and they were talking about how the lady was thinking about retiring. And I'm like, oh no, they're going to need someone, you know? And so I was like, well, I want to go check it out, but how am I going to do that, you know? And well, so then all of a sudden someone from my church was like, we need your help. We are going to take these kids on a missions trip, but someone dropped out, I think, and we want you to lead, help us lead them because they know you and you speak some Spanish, and this would be great. And I was like, no, they didn't say anything about Spanish. They just said, we think you would be great. And I thought, why me? Like, they always go to Europe, and I don't even really want to go to Europe, and I'm planning on doing this thing. And as soon as they were asking me, though, I kept feeling like, you're supposed to say yes. And I'm like, oh man. And so I just put it off until like they needed an answer. And I was like, I have to say yes, don't I? Yeah. I was like, okay, yes. I'm just like moving my head like I really don't want to, but and I didn't know where we were going.
So you didn't know anything about
nothing
it?
about the trip. Nothing. But
you still said yes, Adrea?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
It was yes to God, not to the
Yeah.
And so then one of the girls in the youth group come running up to me. I'm so glad you said yes. She's like, we're going to go to Guatemala together. And I was like, what did you say? Like, they've always gone to Germany and all these places. And I was like, did she just say what I think she said? Like, that can't be. And so I went and found out, and they're like, yeah, we're going to Guatemala. And I was like, that's crazy. So I asked them straight up, could I take 1 weekend off and go visit this orphanage?
Yes.
And they're like, yep, do your thing.
Oh, wow.
Because you're going to be in Guatemala.
Right. Of all the whole world.
Yes.
One
where
tiny
the
little
orphanage
country.
is that you'd already made a connection to.
Right. And I told God, I'm not telling anybody about this. If it's your will for me to do this, then you're going to figure it out. Right. You make it happen.
God figures stuff
Did
out.
you call him Buster?
God?
You?
Yeah.
No.
Like, you're going to figure this out, Buster.
With a capital B.
Yeah.
Guess we all have nicknames. That's not the one I use. So we go on the trip, and towards the end, when we flew into the jungle at the very end of our time in Guatemala, I was like, okay, from here I can get to this place. And when we flew in, as the little plane is landing, I heard someone say, "Welcome home."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, the flight attendant wouldn't say that. You know, they would say something like, "Welcome to the jungle," or, you know, something. And so I started asking everyone, did you guys hear that? And they're like, no, you know, like, you're crazy. So from then it just snowballed. When we got to the jungle, I knew, I was like, I'm not going to go see that orphanage that I really wanted to see, am I? And it was just like, no. And so then we worked with some people there, and we saw this little school. And the whole time I kept feeling like, this is,
Welcome
you know,
home.
right. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be, and this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then I remember dreams that I had from when I was 13 years old and first came to Ohio. Like, in all these dreams, I would start seeing the things there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen this before.
Seeing the things in Guatemala?
Like, so I had a dream when I was 13. I was mad because somebody, well, anyways. I wanted
like
to go to a
sidelines if you wanna
party.
go.
Yes,
Yeah.
I wanted to go to a party, and I couldn't. We just moved here. I was like, I'm going to meet some new friends. I'm 13.
Yes.
And they're
of
like,
course.
no, you know, this is going on, not that. And so I went to my room, threw a little fit, and I was praying, like, I want to go to the party. How am I supposed to meet new friends? And I don't know what I was saying. And I just felt like the Lord said, you should pray for your future husband right now. He's going through a moment much harder than you. I'm like, I'm 13. Like, I am not thinking about husband stuff, you know, like, what is that? But I, you know, was just sobered up, and I thought, okay, let's do that. So I started praying for my future husband. And at that moment, at 13 years old, I knew the Lord said, you know, he's really far away. And, you know, this little thing about not wanting to go to a party has nothing to do with compared to what he's going through right now. So I knew things about my husband before I had ever even met him. And
Gosh, Adrea.
yeah, and so praying for him and knowing, you know, seeing this person in a jungle, I'm like, what is my husband doing in a jungle? You know, like, this does not make sense. But it was all those little things were guides through my whole life, you know. And finally, when I met him later, I would ask him questions. You know, like, I saw this moment.
Yeah.
Did that ever happen? And he'd be like, yeah, that's so-and-so. This is when that happened. Yes.
Holy cow.
That's what I said.
Was
Whoa,
he
it's real.
shocked too that you knew these things about him
I
before
think he's
meeting
kind of
him?
in tune to the whole spiritual world
yeah.
or something. He wasn't very shocked by it all. He was just
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. And, you know.
Oh my gosh, Adrea, that is amazing. What a like, I think about 13-year-olds that I know, and what,
We got one coming up.
yeah,
my
and just like, for you, and I mean, and I remember when I was 13, and I remember when the girls were 13, and you do have those little hissy fits, and it's all about you.
I still have them.
I know. But, you know, for you to have ears that hear like that at the age of 13 is such an inspiration to anybody that's listening.
Doesn't matter how old you
Yeah,
are.
right. Oh my gosh. And also, I mean, it was ears to hear, but then the visions, like, you actually had eyes to see too. What a blessing.
And I wonder if sometimes we don't know. Like, sometimes it maybe takes someone else saying, you know, to be able to share with someone, oh, I dreamt this last night, or I thought this. Like, oh, let's look into that a little more.
Yeah.
I mean,
Instead
I
of it
don't
just
know.
being random,
Right.
because that's what we would assume. Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
We're journaling. I have to, we'll get to that later, but
We are
also
gonna get to
journaling.
that.
Like,
Yes.
from very young, I loved to write things down because I didn't always know. I
Mm-hmm.
talked to my mom a lot, but I didn't always know who to share these weird thoughts with, or these weird.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that I could pray and it would just be between me and God was
Right.
number one, super
Yeah.
important. You know, to know that you have a creator and to know that he's so intimate into every little detail of your life, and he has a purpose for us, and it's just fascinating how he can take us there if we'll let him guide us.
And it requires saying yes, right?
Yes, a lot of yeses. And if there's ever no's and you get off track, you can always get back on track.
Because you said no, or you said yes because you felt that you had to say yes.
Right. And to have a relationship, to know that you can trust the person you're saying yes to. You know, like, okay, I don't get this right now, but I trust you. And
Well, and heavenly yeses sometimes require earthly no's.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
And I read something once that said sometimes God's best is the enemy of something good. And we have to say no to good things. And we're like, why am I saying no to that? Like, that's so great, or a great opportunity, but it's not what God has for us.
Yeah. His best is I mean, it's sometimes just unfathomable. So
So you land in the jungle.
yeah, you're in the
not
jungle.
going to the orphanage.
And the orphanage is off
Yeah,
the
so I was
plan.
like, I'm not going
And,
there.
and this is before you graduated from Wright State or after graduation from Wright State?
We had finished everything. I think we were done. It was just like, so that was in June. I think you come back, and I don't even remember because I didn't do it, but like
So you're 21 to...
20, no, I was already, it took me a little while to get through school.
Okay.
I was
Well, you
wanted to
have
stay
these
with the
little
girls.
pauses.
Yes.
And that's okay.
a lot of pauses.
Right. But a young 20-something,
Yes,
and
I
you're
think
now
24.
in a foreign country with foreign plant life, foreign animal life, foreign people, foreign customs, all of it, and you're saying more yeses than nos.
Right. Well, and so it was in that moment when we were getting ready to leave. It was like the day before we were supposed to come back. And I asked the question, a very loaded gun question. I just said, you know what, God, I'm always praying to you. I'm always telling you what I want or what I think. And I said, you know, I just want to be quiet for a moment out in the middle of the jungle, you know, like nothing to distract me. And I just said, I'd love to hear your heart, you know.
We don't usually need a tissue box.
Sometimes we do.
I'll just use my
but
shirt.
we might.
So I'd love to hear your heart. I'd love to hear, what do you say to me if I would just shut up for a minute? You know, like I'm so good. I'm talking to him all the time. And I just open question.
Yeah.
And, you know, what happened after that is something I could never begin to put into words, but I just found myself under a table when I kind of like came to. I was like, how did I get down here? But it was basically just like, it wasn't like I heard a voice, but I felt a weight on me that was so heavy that I ended up on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and then I just began to cry, and I was like, what is going on? You know, I asked a simple question and this is my answer. Like, I don't really understand. And then I know God speaks differently to everybody. But for me at that moment, it was like, oh, I get it. Like, this is your heart. This is how you feel. God feels these things. And I was like, well, why do you feel that way? You know? Yeah. And then I understood, again, never a voice or anything, but I understood that he was telling me that that was his heart for these people that were living around there. And that time we hadn't even gone that direction. It was only up to where we were at that moment. And I was like, ooh, what's out there? Who's out there? You know? And I'm like, why does he love them so much? But I mean, obviously God loves everybody that much.
Right.
But when you put a burden on somebody's heart,
Yeah.
it's because he wants to use you for that.
The change.
Right. And so I took that and I said, I don't know how you're going to use me,
Yeah.
but if that's what you want, then you're just going to have to lead the way, you know? And so that's when it just started kind of, you know, the next day that they invited me, would you like to come back and teach English at the school? And I thought, oh, I can do that. That's easy.
So did he give you little easy steps?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that I'm grateful for that because it's like, just do this and then just do this and then just do that. So
Because he knows you too so well that he knew to give you the big picture at the end wasn't going to be what your heart needed.
right. Like when they would say, well, how long is your commitment for? And I'm going, you know, like until God says he's done. Like, I don't know that. Well, we need at least a year. And I'm thinking it's probably going to take longer than that, you know, 20 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, was that 20 years ago?
Yeah. So that was 2002.
Holy cow. And Caitlin came down to visit you.
Yes, she
We put
did.
Caitlin on a plane.
I don't know how you did that.
I don't either.
That was a big step of faith.
This was a big step. But it,
Like
you know,
Child
because we
Protective
knew where she was
Services could have been
coming.
involved.
We knew between the string that we had with you that she was just going to kind of zip line.
It was very
Directly
much
to
that
you. It-
faith-based
Completely.
conversation we had to have as well.
Yeah.
Like, we're putting our kid on a plane.
Are
to
we crazy or?
She wanted to come down so bad. She wanted to be with the children that you told us about.
That's wild.
Yes. She wanted to pluck eyebrows with you.
Did we do that?
I believe I have photos of that.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, she just, she was so well connected to you, Adrea, and she just had so much admiration for your heart for God, too. And I think she wanted a glimpse into that world down there. I'm speaking completely for her, but based on, our conversations. And when you look at her as she's telling the stories about her time there, you can read it in her eyes through her heart. Yeah.
And she made so many friends. I mean, I know one person that was there at the same time as her is just kind of to have an experience.
Yeah. Was it Bobby?
Yes.
Yes.
That they just, it's almost like they needed each other while they were there because and I even thought, gosh, I want to obey God, but it's hard to tell someone else to do that because it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And if you're not, I don't want to say ready for it, but sometimes it's more work than anything else. And so if you lose sight of the purpose of it, it's just a lot of work.
Then it does turn into a lot of work. But when it's divinely guided, it's still hard, maybe, but it doesn't feel like work, right? Yes.
So why do these little people in the jungle need to learn English? You went down there to teach them English. Why?
Right. Well, so I have to start off by saying this past year, the Jungle School, which is the name of the school, closed down.
They did.
So, yes. Everything has a season, right?
Right, yeah.
So I felt the pool, I guess, just felt that season was coming to an end, and none of us wanted to let it go. None of us did. Like, none of them. They were like, no, we got to do whatever we could do to save it and keep moving forward. But everyone, pretty much had peace that it was just that season was over. And so,
How many children were in the jungle school?
Throughout the whole,
Yes,
every
that's
year.
like
So
max.
that first year was only like 40 students. The next year, like 80, then 100, then 120. And we got up to 400 students at one point.
Holy mackerel.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot. And so that's in 1 year, right? So in every year, over 20 years span, we had
And is that because, and again, this is hard, and maybe for people who are with us, it's hard for me to imagine, being in the jungle. So like our woods is their jungle. Like what we think of as the woods or the wilderness.
Yes.
Okay. And so, and then I think of subdivisions, like people are going to drive over and drop their kids off at school. There's a bus line. There's people with flags. Is that? No.
Excuse me, no.
Nothing like that.
No,
So how do they get there to school?
When I first went there, they would walk to school. So this jungle area was preserved, and so it's not very inhabited. And so the government said, like, okay, this property is being used for something good, so you guys can have your school there, but like we'll work with you. Like we'll send some public school teachers. That's how
We're
it
from
started.
the government. We're here to help.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
So we're going to send some public school teachers, maybe like one in the beginning. And any kids that come to your building, you guys can do what you want to do, and we'll also do what we want to do. And so it was just like a happy little program there. But it just began to grow and grow and grow. And we didn't always get those public school teachers for that growth. And so that's when it just kind of was like, well, if we went private, then we could provide all the teachers they need and keep up with the growth, hopefully. And so that's what we did. And then it was just, most people think, wow, teaching English will just give them one more tool, in their tool belt for life. And
Got it.
And a lot of them spoke a native dialect. It's now a language, but there's like 22 languages spoken in Guatemala. I could be wrong.
22?
Yes. So,
Just in that one country?
right.
Wow.
So a lot of them are Mayan languages,
Okay.
very beautiful. And so a lot of our students already spoke a Mayan language in their home, and then they were learning Spanish, in the communities. And so just to add English really wasn't, we knew it wasn't going to be that difficult.
Yeah.
Their brains were already just so wired
Right.
for that. And so one of the people, so Hearts in Action, the ministry I worked with is still, they still exist. They're still moving
Okay.
forward, but
Yeah.
just with like ministry, not with the school part.
Okay.
Got
Because the school really required a lot of funding. And but one of the young men that they have on staff now was one of my first kindergarten students. He's so cool. Sorry. But he's just like, imagine what it feels like to see one of your children grow up and be like, I'm so proud of him. He's just an amazing young man. But he came in speaking mostly just his language, and then quickly learned Spanish, and then quickly added English on. And so he's just like my boss's right hand person. So yes, he's
So cool. And we were talking just before we got started, like you sometimes have electricity and you sometimes just don't.
yes.
Like she came in here wearing a sweater today because it's cold in here. And you're used to living in the jungle where it's like 150 and you walk into 72 and you need a sweater.
Feels cold.
But sometimes there's electricity, sometimes there's light, sometimes there's not, sometimes there's cell phone maybe.
Right.
Sometimes there's not.
There's not.
I mean, you're living third world in that location as a student and a new mom. Well, you weren't a new mom yet.
No.
No, we can.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to put some context around it.
Yes, some
Because what we
perspective,
do
for
is
sure.
we have our own world and we think that the rest of the world lives like we do, and
Yeah.
we are wrong
Yeah.
most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But with internet, I mean, we have to admit, like, it's becoming like one global culture. You
Well,
know, like
that-
whenever they do have internet and people
Yeah.
are seeing things and learning things, it's like, whoa, it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
so separate anymore.
Yeah.
I cherished the things that you sent back from the students. I loved all of the paintings and just the little figures and the rocks and all that. They were just precious to me. We'd always have pictures of them.
I'm trying to think who you guys sponsored. I used to know it and remember everything. I want to say maybe Miguel or I can't remember. but
There were
you sponsored,
several.
yes.
Yeah, it was so fun. Yeah,
Thank you for that season. for
No,
making
it was
possible.
wonderful. It was. I mean, I loved everything about it, and I like knowing that that's still, a program that's operational, but
Right.
just not with the jungle school.
Right. So now they go into the public schools
Okay.
and just do like values-based lessons. It's called Festival of Values. And so like 1 month they'll teach about honesty, another month about
wow.
right. And so if you're in a situation where you are allowed to talk about God, then you do.
Yeah.
And if you're in a situation where you can't, you still are allowed to teach values.
Okay. Oh, nice. Perfect. Right. So you can kind
You're just not allowed
Work
to teach
around
where
it.
values come from.
Right. There's some biblical values, but we're just not allowed
Yeah.
to say where we got them from.
Got
But
it. Yeah.
honestly, most people are very open.
Yeah. Well, and you went through a season last year that probably where you were really listening to God about your own health which is not, I mean, that's not your style, Adrea. You're a very, very much of a giver and taking care of other people first. And so this was a time that you had to take care of you.
Yes. Well, the whole thing going into it from the very beginning was I can remember a moment. There's like moments, that stick out to you in your life. But I remember sitting in my driveway with a friend and we were just having a conversation. And it just dawned on me, like, why are we so blessed? It just blew me away. Yeah. And I remember just knowing the answer as I said that, like we are blessed to be a blessing to others. And so, which is, maybe can be kind of common sense. Like, yes, how can I bless someone around? But it was like a passion that drove me at that point. Like, who is it that I'm supposed to bless? Who is it that I'm supposed to help with whatever I have? And I do naturally like to kind of serve and do those things. But there is a point when your body says,
It's time for
Right.
you.
Pause.
Yes, pause. Push the pause button.
and I'm glad, like looking back now, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad that happened when it did. It was actually my mom who called and said, she found out first that she was having some health issues. And I thought, I want to be there for her.
Right. So you came back for your mom.
Right.
And then.
Right. So, and I was having health issues, but I'm not good at paying attention to them sometimes. And I just thought, I'll get better. It'll be fine. Like, and so when I came home with her, my dad has always been such a good provider. And he's just like, you should get tested while you're here. You should do this. You should do that. And
Was he feeling something a reason why you needed to?
I don't think so. He's just always been very. Have you gone to the
Practical.
dentist lately? Yes. And check off all the boxes.
The things the daddies do.
Good provider. Yes. Yes. And I thought that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah, because you were busy taking care of your mom, who
Right.
was, she was critical when you first got here, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was. Yeah. And it ended up I didn't really even help her that much. Like my dad was her rock through that whole thing, which is really wonderful. But then I ended up finding out that, I was dealing with something and I'm like, oh, well, that explains why I don't feel so great.
Right.
And then it just turned into a longer stay here.
Yeah.
And
And a healing journey.
definitely.
Yeah. And then that kind of closed a season for you. Is that how it I mean, do you feel like sometimes maybe God used that because he was like, I'm going to have to do
100%.
something big?
Right. And I always wonder which came first, because honestly, it was, when I first started to not feel well,
Yeah.
I would pray about it. Like, what's going on? Should I pay attention to this? And I heard 2 words. I sometimes wonder, do I not understand things well? And I needed to be that clear. I just heard, you're done.
Oh,
That was my
Whoa.
reaction. That was my reaction. I'm done. Like, I'm dead. Like, my here on earth, I'm done. Like, which part
you
is
need
done?
to explain a little bit more, God.
Could you speak clearly?
Maybe shoot me a text.
Yes, I wish that.
A clarifying text.
Yes. But I think for me, those little things are to get my curiosity. And maybe if you told me the whole thing, I would,
Yeah.
argue, or I don't know what I would do. But it's like those 2 words just pique my curiosity. Like, okay, what did you mean by that? And,
Yeah.
it begins a journey.
Right.
So I'm like, done with what? And I'm trying to figure things out. And then I decided, I think I need to take some time off work. You know, I need to spend some more time with my family, just in case I am completely done here on earth. And
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And
focus
then I just got worse physically. I was getting worse and worse. And I thought, what is going on? And then found out that my dad was sick, and I wanted to come home, but I
Yeah.
realized I couldn't.
Oh, wow.
And when I thought about that, I am not well enough to travel.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, something's really going on. But again, I didn't know what doctors to go to. I didn't know who to talk to about it.
And what kind of access do you have to care in the middle of the jungle, really?
So at the time, I would say maybe there was some access, and I just didn't know about them.
Okay.
But it's getting better. So like before, we just had very little good care, I would say, in that area. But now after COVID, I don't know what happened, but a lot of people wanted to leave the city that was kind of overpopulated and come to the jungle.
Oh.
So now I would say the medical care is
Interesting.
getting so much better. Yes, it is really great.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. But anyways.
Yes.
Yes.
In the gap between
Yeah.
those things, you're a mom of 2 boys.
Yes. So my husband, I'd been there about 9 years when I met my husband. He is a Guatemalan. And then
Because you saw him in the dream.
that's right. And then then we had our first child a year after that. And then we have one more son. Yes.
And how old are they now?
So Timothy is 12 and Mike is 10.
Okay. Oh my gosh. And they are beautiful boys. They really are. Can we put a picture on here?
Boys. Do you have a picture?
We'll figure
Oh,
it out.
we can add, Graham can add things on
course.
top. Would that be okay?
course.
Picture of your family.
And I want a map of Guatemala. I want you to take a picture of the map
And
stick a
circle
little
where
sticker
the
you
Star.
are.
We're all the way in the north.
Because that'll
all the
go
way.
on the screen as well.
Yeah,
Yay.
because it's super. Yeah, it's just amazing. Because it's not easy to get there either, right? Don't you have to when you fly down there, Mexico City? Do you go to Mexico City?
So
you
we've
don't go
tried
there
different
anymore.
ways.
Okay.
Now, right. I feel like now the easiest way is going into Guatemala City, which is
Oh,
all the way in the
nice.
south.
Okay.
But they just have better access, with flights, more choices. And then now you can take a flight from the city into the jungle.
Oh,
where it used to be like a 10-hour bus ride.
right.
And
That's
it
what
was
Caitlin was
so
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Poor thing. Let her come again.
She didn't mind.
It's better
Yeah,
now.
she didn't mind.
We even tried Belize, flying into Belize, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But it's just a different experience.
Sure. Yeah, it's nice that you have other options.
Yes.
So then you were here for all last year, basically, weren't you?
So my mom was actually getting better.
Yeah.
When I started, doing some treatments myself, and so I was like, "Wow, this is totally not what we expected."
Yeah.
But knowing that it's all in God's hands and that it really is just a journey, I think the first thing for me doing that journey was, I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe this will help somebody who listens to this.
Yes, I'm sure.
When I found out what I was going to face, I was angry. And I was like, seriously? Really? Like, what did I do wrong? Maybe physically or, and, that was my reaction.
Yeah.
And as I prayed, and again, I know everyone has a different relationship with God, but I felt like the Lord said, "But if you'll just give me your hand, I will walk with you through this." And I said, "No, thanks. Like, I don't think I'm ready," because I thought if I give him my hand, I'm just going to walk right on out of here. And I don't want to leave my kids. Like, so right away I saw it. Like, I was looking at myself going, "Really, Adrea? You don't trust him?" And I'm like, something's wrong here. Why don't I trust him?
Right.
Like, what am I going to do to protect my kids that God couldn't do way better than me?
Yeah.
What do I think I'm going to accomplish here? I'm going to save myself and then save my kids? Like, really, Adrea? So right away I was like, whoa, how did I get here? Why am I so far away from this God that I love and serve and trust,
And I've said
supposedly.
yes.
I just realized I don't trust him like I thought I did.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, we have some work to do. Like, this is going to be a long journey.
So it wasn't just your physical healing, there was spiritual level of
Exactly.
healing that came along with that too.
Emotional, spiritual, physical, the whole thing. But that's how cool God is. I thought, well, he did the whole thing. Because I thought, he's going to have to get me to where I trust him again. And then maybe then I'll, if this doesn't work out, I go home. But I have to trust my kids with him.
Right.
And
So it was giving your kids over
huge part of that.
first.
Yes. Oh, wow. Exactly. I was like, wow, I thought
Which
I had
means
done
they
that.
were never yours.
Yep. Understanding that.
Deeply. Because,
All
we
the
all
way.
want to say it,
You
right?
just got to birth
Right.
them.
Yeah.
What?
You just got to birth them. They were always his.
Yep. And then the honor and privilege. It's a whole
Yeah.
whole different thing. Like, oh, it's not, yes, it's our responsibility, but it's not solely mine. Like, oh, well, what purpose do you have for them?
Yeah.
And what am I supposed to do on that journey? It's not what do I have
Right.
for them anymore?
They're
what
not, there's
But how
nothing
do you
random about
nurture
that.
them for the passion and purpose that God's put in them?
Because when they're little, I don't know, am I wrong? When they're little, it's like you're just trying to make sure they survive.
Yep.
That is all it is.
Right?
Little honey, she's at that stage. It's like we just have to keep her away from the potholes.
Exactly. But now they're at that age where that was a perfect timing for that realization, which honestly, I think it's a daily thing sometimes for me. I'm still like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not in control here. I
Yeah.
can't control that even if I want to. And
Right.
what does God want here?
Where did your husband fit into all of those processes? Like the thought processes, the physical healing process, and all that too.
Right. So when I found out, we were already packed and ready to go. The suitcases were by the door. We were supposed to leave the next day when I got the call from the gynecologist, which she's amazing that she would even do that. Like, hi, it's 10:00 at night. Do you mind if I call you at home? I'm like, why are you calling me at home?
Yeah.
You know?
I know, yeah.
And so then she was very nice and just said, I'm not so sure you should jump on that flight tomorrow. Like, maybe you could change your flight.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I called my husband right away because he's supposed to pick us up the next day. And I just said, what do you think? Should I go home? We'll think about this and pray about this and deal with it later. Or should I just change my flight? Like, we'd already been gone for so long. We'd already changed our flight like twice.
Which is very unusual because when you have come in the past, it's like you're a week or 10 days and you stick to the plan. Yeah.
Yes. So the jungle school was still, and so they were being so flexible with me. They were sending us all the assignments and my kids we were just doing it online, and it worked for that season. It was great. But I just asked him, and he was like, he's a man of few words. But he was like, you should stay. Like, you should really just get done. Take care of yourself. Like, get done. People from the U.S., people from here so badly would want to go to U.S. to get the care that is, available
Right
there.
there.
Why on earth would you come back here?
And then have to come back again, likely.
Right, or maybe not make it.
Or
There's
maybe
so many
not.
people that don't.
Exactly.
And he just said, I don't want that,
Yeah.
to happen. First thing first is you. And so I thought, man, as hard as it is staying, I just want us to all be together.
Right.
I just thought, okay, we're going to do this. And I asked the boys, like, my children, do you want to go back with your daddy? Do you want to stay with me? Like, what should we do here? And I felt like they just grew up real quick, like, they're like, well, we should stay with you. We should help you. And they had great attitudes about it.
So sweet.
They were amazing.
And
here you are.
here you
Here
are.
we are again. This time has been totally different. This was really just a different trip to come and say hi to my parents. They're both very healthy. I'm healthy.
You turned a lot of things around in a pretty short gap. I know you're saying,
sure,
and I understand this, it felt like a long time. You turned around he turned around years worth of stuff in a pretty short time for you.
I agree. And that could have turned out so differently.
100% true. And had you gotten on that plane, I would have expected it to turn out very differently. So you made a really good choice.
I feel like you have been so tuned into God's voice that it's almost like you just have that connection that you don't even really have to think. He's just dropping things in all the time.
That would be nice to say that was true. In that moment, I didn't know what to do. I was like, are you there?
But did you have to? But you got that answer. Maybe it was your husband with the confirmation.
It took with my husband, I trusted that. I thought he's the head of the home, so I'm going to trust that God's leading him, and I'm just going to follow that one.
Yeah.
And bask in that protection.
Right.
And then honestly, on that journey, I said, okay, since I'm going to do this, like, can we do the whole thing? Can we do the physical healing, spiritual healing, emotional healing? Like, can we just do this all at once if possible? Because I just realized, I'm way off, like, how did I get this cancer? How did I get, like, why did I have that reaction? And just, it should be so different. I should automatically trust you and automatically hear you. I should have almost sensed this coming, like those kinds of things, because when you're really close to the Lord, I feel like you do sense those things and you do know, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. And I realized so many things in that year, but in a nutshell, it's maybe two. One was, it's a whole different thing just to get in the routine of serving and almost feeling, you could get far away from him and that you're serving him, but it's like, I have to do this. I have to make this happen. If I don't, who will? I mean, that's really not relying on God anymore. It was just like a secular job, like it was no different. And so I definitely got far away at some point, not trusting him with all those little details. And in one moment, I remember I was just praying, and I just remember, really crying out to him, like, what is going on? Like, how do I get out of this situation? Or are you going to bring me out? Or do I just need to prepare for the end? Like, how do I leave gracefully, at least, leave things in order for my children? And all I heard was, I never abandoned you. And when he said that, I was like, oh, and this might be crazy. I haven't told anyone this. I've only journaled it. It just sunk into every fiber of my being that's what I had dealt with. That's what I was dealing with. I had somehow, in my weirdness, just chugging along, serving him, serving the people that I knew he loved and I came to love. But then even this family he had given me, was doing it all out of my strength. And really feeling like, where are you, God? When my kid would have asthma attacks and there was no electricity to even give him a breathing treatment, like, where are you? And just at that moment, not hearing anything, going, well, you're not here with me. I don't know what I did for you to leave, but you're gone. But I didn't know what to do. And so just keep trucking along, right? And I would pray, and every now and then there would be like drops of water, But in that moment, just calling out to him, and I just heard him say, I never left you. And I was like, oh, and that just washed it all away. Like, okay, you were there. Then for some reason you figured it was okay, all that stuff. Then, then it was okay. Yeah. So, and you're going to make it somehow work out. Okay, you're going to use it all for good. You're going to use it all for your glory. And it just immediately shifted everything. And I even felt a difference in my body.
Like a healing difference. Right then?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Which I thought, ooh, maybe I won't go to that surgery after all. Maybe it's gone, like I don't think it's that intertwined, but maybe it was a cause. Like, I really don't know. I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
But I knew at that moment, I felt whatever happens here on out, I trust him. Oh, wow. Yeah. I could finally say it. I trust him. If he decides to take me home, which I don't want to go, but I can trust him with my kids. He's got a great plan for them. Like, he'll figure it out. Yeah. And that weight was just gone. Yeah. And then I knew if I was to go home or to be healed, it was a whole different purpose. And that's where this new journey for me kind of began, because when I went home, he just continued to reaffirm, you're done and done. And I understood then I was done with the ministry that I'd served with for 20 years. And I was like, oh no, what are they going to do? God was like,
he's
remember,
I got this.
And we talked about this.
Well, why do we do that? Why do we have to go around the mountain so many times, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. How long does it take me to learn?
It's all of us. We're just humans, right? But that kind of led you to what you're doing now, Adrea.
Right.
And you've been able to incorporate your love of God and his words to you and the affirmations that he gives you on a daily basis and turn it into something as a gift for other people.
I hope so.
Yes.
Well, the first thing was he kind of gave us just something fun to do, but as a family.
Yeah.
Where in the ministry, I was very separate from my family.
Okay.
And so we are serving local pastors.
Oh.
Which is, nothing that ever would have popped into my head. But when the Lord gave it, when God gave it to us, I was like, oh, that's fun. Let's do that, just help them do what they do.
So
And-
like just sort of like assistance for the pastors in your community? What does that look like?
Right. So we're still learning.
Okay.
But the first thing that I felt God spoke to us was, he said just to bring his churches together. So there was kind of a little bit of division, or just like, teamwork is a little bit better than having all this different stuff going on. And anyway, so we're just hosting like once a month get-togethers for the pastors, and then we provide a meal, and they just get together, and it's so fun to watch them talk.
Okay.
They talk about
So
things
it's all
that,
the pastors. coming
right,
together.
and not all come, but some come, and
They're all invited.
right, they're all invited. And so they all get together, and then they talk about stuff and then they're playing their little meetings. And the next thing you know, they're all showing up at so-and-so's church for their anniversary. And then the next month they're all doing something, else together. So it's like, now they're not like these little people that are struggling alone in a sense, but now they have that teamwork, that community between them.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the funnest thing, just to kind of see that happening. And we're not really doing anything except for like, here's some food.
Yeah, but wherever Jesus went, there was food too, right?
Good food.
Good food.
Fish next time.
That's amazing. So you're doing that.
Right.
And then you're also,
Then we started a little library for them. So resources for the pastors. That's fun.
where is it? When I read that in your notes, I was like, I wonder where that library is. Where is it, like a separate building?
Right. So there's our property, and behind us was a piece of property, which is a long story. We're probably over the hour already. But that property, basically, I felt like God just really opened up for us and kind of gave it to us. Well, not completely given. We're still paying that off. But
Yeah.
but it's there. It's right next to us. And the fact that they even sold it to us was amazing. And so we got that property, and we were like, well, what are we supposed to do with this property? We knew that God had a plan for it. And so that's part of the plan. But we envision, like having get-togethers, and, I see all the pastors there, like just in like a joint worship, having that unity. But for right now in this space, we just used what's already there and just kind of remodeled it a little bit.
Yeah.
It really needs to be, how do you say, like,
Remodeled.
Bulldozed.
Gutted.
yes.
We need
yes.
a good hurricane.
The branch from the avocado tree did fall down last night, my husband said. But anyway.
Do they have
So-
insurance there?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
No health
They have a
insurance.
hurricane.
No, none of that. Yeah. And so it's just a library right now. But it's growing quickly, and that's really exciting.
How do you get books?
Donations, some of them. So we had a library. We started one at the Jungle School.
Yeah.
And so we got
Gotcha.
to kind of pick out just some that we thought would be good resources for the pastors.
Yeah.
And then we've gotten various donations. We ordered some. We've bought some ourselves. And then from our own collection that we had, accumulated over the years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of small, but it's nice. Yeah.
It's wonderful, and it's another way for them to get together too, right?
Exactly. Yes. And then they can, if
And know they
there's,
can rely on you for certain resources.
yes. Hopefully this time that I'm going back, we're taking some of the ones they wanted.
Are you?
Yes.
So you'll just take them on the plane with you? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Well, let us know what other ones that.
I want to know where this fits in.
So in all that, I'm no
Books.
longer, technically a missionary that was receiving an offering through the ministry that I worked with. So I was like, okay, God, this is great. I love all this.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering how you're going to provide and all this. And it just kind of was one of those little like puzzle pieces. It didn't like just drop in or, whatever. It was, I had wanted to get a journal for my son. And I looked and couldn't find anything that I liked, for his stage of life. And I thought I could just make it.
Yeah.
So I got a blank journal and made one. I thought that was fun, and he liked it. He really liked it. And so and then someone gave me a blanket when I was going through, what I was going through. And I thought, ooh, this is nice. It had some healing, some verses about healing on it. And I really liked it. And the kids loved it. I was like, why do we all love this blanket so much? It's just a blanket. But I think it's, something special about it. Yes. And so I just, between all that, when I had made the journal for him, I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that for somebody else. I wonder if anybody else that has a son his age that would want this kind of a journal. And so I just kind of put it out there, wondering if it would sell, wondering if anyone would look it up. And then most of the orders that started to come in were personalized. People wanted something special for someone. I can't find what I'm looking for. Could you make this? And I thought, And then I would get so excited about it for some reason, like, oh, I want to make that, like, yes,
Right.
you have this person's name and what the stage of life that they're in and this verse that speaks to them. And it's really simple.
So that's what you do is you create each one of them individually for the person?
I do both. If
You do
I'm
both,
just
okay.
motivated, I, do one and see if anyone wants it. But then other people sometimes, most of the orders have been someone reaching out to me saying, this is what I want. Can you do this? I'm like, of course, we can do whatever we want. That's the fun thing about this.
Yeah.
So do you design, is this artwork that you've compiled?
Right. So I want to do some of my son's artwork. My youngest son is an artist, and I just want to put it on there. But right now, it's just on the computer. So you can just go into a program and design your own, and then the print company will print it for you. So I thought, well, it's not very exciting in the sense that, I'm not drawing it myself or anything, which I think would be so much more fun. But it's what we have. Because I said, God, I'm in the middle of the jungle.
You're in the middle of the jungle.
We don't always have electricity. We don't have all these opportunities. I can't mail things back and forth. What could I do? And then when I had already found this, so I thought, I'm going to try this because it's something I can design from my home whenever we do have electricity. And then it gets printed in the U.S. and delivered straight to the person.
Yeah.
So I did this when I was home because I was like, I actually want to see what they look like because...
And feel like, and and use it yourself, right?
Right.
They're beautiful.
Thank you. I'm having fun. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. No, that's so these are ones that you have that are available on an Etsy site?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so that's where people will go. Is that where they can find you? Is on Etsy?
Yes.
And is there anywhere else that they can find you? Is there?
So it's just the name, like when you sell something on Etsy, you just kind of create a little name, like you have your Living Well Spidens in it. So ours is called Designs to Encourage.
Okay. So we'll put that.
That'll be in the notes as well.
Grandma's really helpful. He'll put that on there so people can see.
Thank you.
And Designs for Encouragement.
To encourage.
To encourage. Okay. That is wonderful. And what else was I thinking about them?
I don't know.
Well, we both love to journal, though. I mean, it's something
Therapeutic for me.
so therapeutic. I think we just underestimate how something so simple can be so powerful. And so before somebody starts journaling, I know that a lot of times I talk to them about it a lot first, and then all of a sudden they'll do it. And it's like, now I get it.
It's like you can get it all out, and in the end, if it's something you really don't want anyone else to read or whatever, rip it, burn it, but you got it out.
Yeah.
And you didn't hurt anyone's feelings.
Because I started in October. Oh, I really want you to start journaling. And she read this book, and I really want you to start. Can we do this together? And I'm like, yeah, no. Well, and then I realized it was something she really wanted me to do. So I thought, all right, fine. And I will say, and it's a full-size journal book, and my first few journal days, because now I get up at 5 a.m. and I spend the first hour of the day writing. For a few days, all I did was complain about having to get up and write.
I don't know why I'm doing this.
That
This
Lisa.
is the least fun thing ever. Why am I awake at this hour?
I'm going back to sleep.
But it took about 2 weeks. And in that second week, after that second week, I really did start dumping things on paper that didn't belong in here.
And it gets it out.
Oh my gosh. And then when you see something on paper that feels really huge in your mind or your heart or in your body, and you see it on paper and it's only like this big, and you think, why was that wrecking my brain? Why was that waking me up at 3 a.m.? It's this
It makes
big.
more sense somehow on paper. Or
Yeah. And you can scribble to God. Like, you know what? I know you know, but man, here's the thing.
Yeah.
And you just scribble until you don't get to it. And the next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock and you got to get your day going. But yeah.
But then that's not on you as you
right
go
on.
into your
Oh
day.
no. It creates this space. It creates empty space that you can then begin to fill with creative things and energetic things, and you sleep better at night. I mean, it's wild.
And a lot, like
And
what you said, a lot of the journals, when I look back at my old journals, it's one thing when I was younger, and then it turned into these, dear God, you know, like,
yes.
and then going back and seeing these prayers and being able to see, wow, he answered that.
Yep.
Like if I would have just prayed it, that's cool. God hears it.
Yep.
But it's fun to go back and see, oh my gosh, I didn't remember that I prayed this. And now I see how he's answered it. So that's kind of fun too.
And I haven't gone back and done any reading. I have not. And then the book I have, I need a new book actually, because I'm on like the last 2 pages of that journal. And I am wrestling with keeping it or ditching it.
I got him a new set. He doesn't have to stop.
She's so prepared.
But do you keep it or do you burn it is the question. I haven't gone back and
so
read
true.
anything I've written. I just keep writing, and I haven't gone backwards with it.
So one of the things, because I've always called it prayer journaling, all of mine are Dear God, and we could just go from there. But and I'm just like you, Adria. I love seeing the answers, and even as you're writing and you're praying these prayers, and it's like you're not really thinking as you're writing. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like you're in another
Like it's guided or
dimension.
something.
Yeah.
The pen's just moving.
And then all of a sudden, the answer to the challenge comes out through the lead in that pencil.
Or sometimes there is something that feels big, and when you actually make yourself write it down, it's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm complaining about that. Are you kidding me right now? I'm not even going to write that. That's the dumbest thing. I wouldn't even admit to thinking that, let alone write it down.
Scribble that one out.
Yeah.
But God
Frowny
does want
face.
us to, whatever's on our heart, He does want to help us with too.
Oh, 100%.
So
it's
big,
not that he doesn't
small, or
know.
medium
It's just that when I
size.
see I'm not writing that. That's dumb. I just need to move through that and get over it, whatever it might be.
Well, I can't wait, Adria, because I would like to work with you to create some journals. Because for one thing, we have journals in all of our swag bags, and so we can
that's right.
redo those. But also for like my team, the Crunchy team, and some of the gifts that I like to give them.
Something specific.
And then also, something for
Thank you.
My team.
and your team, yeah.
This will be
There's
great.
lots of different ways to use it, and I'm glad you are here because we had talked about it. And so now I see them, and now all these ideas are coming like, oh, I know how I can use this.
Yeah.
And sometimes-
What's my turnaround time? If I ordered one of these tomorrow, if I got on your site and I said, hey, I want one of these beautiful things, how long would it take before it was in my hands?
It should say on there from the print company how long it will take you, and it gives you options too, like how quick you want it. But it's usually 2 days for print time, maybe 3, and then depending on the shipping that you choose.
Do you personalize only the cover, or do you personalize pages in the journal as well?
There's different options. This print company has 4 journal options, and most are just on. Well, this one I like because I don't know why. I like the spiral.
Yes.
I like that it has a pocket in the back. It's
very
just
cool.
and I like the lines for writing. But there's a blank one. There's one that can have like where you get a design space on the front, on the inside, and on the back, and on the back inside. So there's just different options that we can choose
Okay.
of different sizes.
Yeah, and I saw this one like a hardcover one.
Right. They have the
Instead of the-
hardcover.
What do they call this? Kind of a spine.
It's not
the spiral, yeah.
But it's, like you said, the hardcover. I like that because it can fit into your purse. It's small. But
Yeah,
I
it's a
personally
good size.
don't like not being able to open it all the
Open
way
it
up
all
and
the
like
way.
Yeah.
do that to it.
Totally.
Agreed. Totally.
Yep.
And
Love
then
having
they
it.
have the blank pages. And then there's another print company that you can personalize, like the whole thing, like as if
Oh,
it was
really?
a book.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
So I'm playing with that one
Yeah.
because that's more work, obviously. Because then
Right.
we're creating a guided journal for people who
Yes.
have never journaled
Nice.
before.
Yes, that's so
Yes.
important.
Yes, kind of like some thoughts, like so we're not done with that one yet, though.
That's
Beautiful.
perfect. Yeah, the Artist's Way is the one that is almost, it's kind of similar. So if you haven't read that, it might inspire you for some ways to help people to, open up to green light writing and, just do it.
Right. And
Beautiful.
something that has helped me. So when I was doing it, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. But the funny thing is, even on days when no one would buy anything, I enjoyed it. Like a verse that spoke to
good.
me, I thought, well, maybe someone
Yeah.
else will like this verse.
Yes.
And it just helped me to put some art to it and put that verse on there. It gave me life. And I thought, even if no one buys this, that was so fun. Like, I would buy that journal.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, you are so artistic too. I mean, you always have been so creative.
But I thought painting, actually
Yes.
drawing it is what I enjoy. So I didn't think getting on a computer and doing it would
Yeah.
have any satisfaction but it is.
Yeah.
I like seeing it come out pretty, even if I wasn't the one that got to paint it.
Yes.
And then what am I going to spend? I'm assuming that depending on the options I would select on the computer, the price may vary or no?
Yeah, so depending on like which books are available. But for example, the print company will charge us, the person who's making it, like a flat rate. So like it depends on, I think this one is maybe like at $7. And I have to be honest, now this is my first time in the US since I started this, and I was a little discouraged because I don't know how much stuff costs in the US.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, $7, is that a lot or not?
Right.
And I think it's kind of a lot because you go to like a dollar store or something and they're like super cheap. So then once you put on the design, anything you get above what they sell it to you for is going to be the profit. But then the person has to also pay shipping. So by the end you're done, it can be anywhere between like $10 to $12.
Yeah.
I'm like, are people going to pay that for a journal?
I think that's very reasonable.
So I think I think you're underselling it, in all honesty, because especially, something that says dream on it, you'll pay, I'm going to say, let's call it 20. Let's say that's a 20. And then you're going to put ideas and dreams and things that will net you significantly more money because you're clearing space to earn, you're clearing space to be creative, you're clearing space. Why would somebody pay $20 for a book with no words in it? Well, because it allows you to create something that you would never otherwise be able to create.
And get
so
those
my
downloads.
request is don't undersell that because it's not, don't undervalue it is what I mean to say. It's very valuable for people to be able to learn the process, grow in the process, and profit from the process. If I was a business owner and I bought one of these fabulous things and you inspired me to be a better me, to build a better business, and I made millions of dollars in that business, would I care about paying $20 to write it down? No, I would not.
Good thing I know you.
Well, please don't underestimate the value.
It really helps me with the perspective.
You're
Yes,
used to
for
living
sure.
in the third world. Guess what? These are going to go all over the globe, not just to the jungle. And so the value of it will be, you're right though. Could I get one at the dollar store? Yes. Would it be my own
wouldn't be like
personalized thing? No, it would not. Would it have your story connected to it? Would it have the energy that you brought to this hour connected to it? No, it would not. So yeah, please don't underestimate the value of what you just brought to the table.
And anyone that's something personalized, I think that's the funnest part of it. Like knowing there's something about that, knowing like, ooh, I made it how they wanted it or something. And we'll keep doing it until it gets to where the person says, that's what I had in mind.
So you
That's what I
send
was
them the
looking for."
design and then they
Right.
send back like, oh, well, I was thinking more like this. And then you
Exactly.
do a revision and back and forth. That is so cool.
And that's fun.
That's very cool.
Can I ask how much we spent for our journals? You buy them, I don't even know.
I think $40 for it was for a book and the journal.
Right.
But do you know how valuable it is? The things that I have
it's
written in that
almost
book
like life-saving.
are, and again, some of it's about my business stuff, some of it's about my personal stuff, some of it's about our family stuff. But at the end of the day, for $40, I have become significantly more profitable.
Good.
So please, do not undervalue what you're talking about.
I'm glad you put into such good words the value of journaling because I just know that I love it and how I just thought of the word therapeutic. Like it's been a lifesaver for me growing up through like write down things that you shouldn't say to someone else. And you get that out there, give it to the Lord, like, okay, I'm going to rip this up now.
Right on.
Let that be done with.
Exactly.
And just recently I burned a journal. It was the first one I think I'd ever actually burned because I thought that season is done and I don't want that junk. Like that's not a part of me anymore.
Amen. Up in smoke.
Right. And as I burned it, I just prayed, forgiveness over that person and a release. And I thought, it's gone, but writing it down was part of that process.
Sure
It was
was.
fun.
Yep.
Yeah, and I always think of beauty from ashes too.
a good one.
When you're burning those types of things.
I hope that people don't just buy the journal to burn it. That's just out of that.
No, they're too pretty, but use it for its purpose and then do
Nobody's
whatever
going
you
to
want.
burn an empty book. Like, it's the craziest question. Like, why would you spend $20 on an empty book? Well, because you're going to fill it with things so much more valuable than $20. It's ridiculously cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, mine, I just think of them as love letters to God.
Yes. So one says prayer journal because of that. Like some people are like me, like you, with the prayer journal.
Look how
This
beautiful
dream
this is.
one I liked because I thought of my boys. They're getting that age where it's like, okay, we're going day to day, but I want you to begin to dream about the plans and things that God has for you. What comes to your
in.
mind?
Yes.
And then I liked this one too for my kids, the created with a purpose. I could have just put created with purpose, but then the Bible verse. This is the one they liked, but I thought, I want one that's maybe a little bit more feminine.
Yeah, for sure. They're
have fun
beautiful,
making them.
Adrea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Super
Wow.
cool.
Did you have fun?
Yes.
This is so fun
Thank
for
you.
us.
I'm not nervous anymore.
We love it.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing your world with us. I mean,
Yeah. From the
It's
time that
wonderful.
you joined our family, we've always thought of you as another daughter, really. And to see how your life has unfolded is really precious to us.
Thank you also for being a wonderful part of my life and and an inspiration and good examples. And thank you.
We love you, Miss Adrea.
Love you too.
Miss Adria, Miss Adria, we love
I need to have that recorded so I can play it whenever I'm feeling sad.
We'll get the girls to record it on your voicemail.
So you want to wrap it up, babe?
No, let's just keep
Yeah,
talking.
we could just
Can we
keep
get some
talking.
ice cream? Let's keep going. Yeah, thanks.
outside is
So
so
what
great.
should they do? I mean, if the people who are participating with us in this episode like what they're hearing,
Yep,
what should they do?
subscribe, like, and follow, and connect with Miss Adrea so that you can get a beautiful journal of your own, or find another way to reach out and just connect to your overall purpose too, with Hearts in Action, if that's still something that you'd like for people to find out more about too.
Yes. So if they,
Yeah.
the ministry is still there, and it still has the same website,
Okay.
heartsinaction.org.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we got it. So I hope everybody has a great day. Bye.
See you next time.